If you've ever woken up around 3 a.m. feeling that God was calling you to pray, or if you've risen in the middle of the night sensing a spiritual battle or the need to intercede for someone, know that you're not alone in this experience. Many testify to awakening at this hour and encountering something supernatural at least once in their lives. But why does this happen? Is it truly connected to the spiritual realm, or merely a product of our subconscious mind, which remains active even during deep sleep? Did you know that 3 a.m. is often referred to as the witching hour? This is believed to be a time when Satan and his demons exert greater influence over the earth, attacking people's lives more intensely. It's also when those involved in dark arts prefer to conduct their rituals and spells, for two reasons. First, they believe 3 a.m. has a connection with evil spirits. Second, just as we use the early morning hours to seek intimacy with God, they use them to draw closer to the entities they worship. But why 3 a.m.? The Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke tell us that Jesus died at the 9th hour, which corresponds to 3 p.m. in our current timekeeping. Because of this, Satan is thought to have appropriated 3 a.m. to mock God. Additionally, the Bible often associates night and darkness with sin. In John 3 verses 19 to 21, Jesus said, "This is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but people loved darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Everyone who does evil hates the light, and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that what they have done has been done in the sight of God." The notion that 3 a.m. belongs to the devil gains further traction when we observe that Jesus was betrayed by Judas during the night, and Peter denied him 3 times before the rooster crowed, that is, before dawn. Have you noticed that after 3 a.m., the atmosphere in nightclubs becomes heavier? It's during this time that more people are involved in drugs, prostitution, thefts, and murders. Moreover, the highest number of fatal traffic accidents occurs in the early morning hours. In other words, Jesus died at 3 p.m. to save and free us, and Satan uses 3 a.m. to condemn, lead to perdition, and even kill us physically and spiritually. Several horror films make a point of showing clocks striking 3 a.m. during frightening scenes. For instance, in The Exorcism of Emily Rose, the main character, possessed by a demon, always wakes up at 3 a.m. Another well-known film that references this time is The Conjuring. Despite all these negative aspects associated with this hour, it can also be extremely significant for us as Christians, just as it was for the faithful of the past. In earlier times, people would go to bed very early, right after sunset. Consequently, they would wake up around 3 a.m., having slept enough to restore their energy. They used this time before starting their daily routines to pray to God. Many Bible scholars believe that the psalmist composed Psalm 119 during this period. In verse 147 he wrote, "I rise before dawn and cry for help. I have put my hope in your word." And in verse 148, "My eyes stay open through the watches of the night, that I may meditate on your promises." Jesus himself also had the habit of communing with God during the night. In various passages of the Gospels, we see him withdrawing to pray in the early morning hours. One of the most significant moments of Jesus' earthly life, his transfiguration and meeting with Elijah and Moses, may have occurred during this time, as Peter offered to set up shelters for them to stay. Now that you understand the spiritual significance surrounding 3 a.m., let's consider why God might awaken us at this hour. It's important to recognize that sometimes we wake up in the middle of the night not because the Lord is calling us, but due to other factors, such as having eaten something that didn't sit well, spending too much time watching TV or on our phones before bed, or being worried about something. The early morning hours provide an excellent opportunity to deepen our intimacy with God. Not because fewer people are praying, but because it's a time when we're alone in silence, free from external distractions, be it people, situations, or social media. The Lord may wake us up at this hour to pray because he knows that during the day, we're so occupied with our tasks that we don't pray wholeheartedly. This was the case with the prophet Samuel when he was still a boy. The Bible tells us in 1 Samuel 3 that in those days, the word of the Lord was rare. There were not many visions. One night, Samuel and his mentor, the prophet Eli, were lying down in the house of the Lord, where the ark of God was. Then Samuel heard a voice calling his name. He went to Eli and said, "Here I am. You called me?" But Eli said he did not call and told Samuel to lie down again. This happened 2 more times until Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy. Eli instructed Samuel to respond, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." Samuel did so, and the Lord revealed his plans to him. God called Samuel to a mission in the middle of the night, and he can do the same with us. We must be attentive and willing to hear his voice, especially during the quiet and peaceful moments of the early morning. If this message has been edifying for you, please subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Your participation is essential for the growth of this work.